Good evening and welcome. This is it's Monday, May 9th. I had to think about the date. I apologize, 6:30. I'm calling to order tonight's Planning Commission meeting. Tonight's Planning Commission meeting is being held in person and via Zoom. As chair, I'll be leading the Planning Commission meeting, and the public is welcome to participate when invited throughout the meeting. You can either join in person, as some of you have, or you can join via online Zoom. If attendees do join by Zoom and experience audio problems, we ask that you back yourself out and rejoin the meeting. That usually fixes the issue. Additional instructions on how to participate are posted online at our Burnsville website. That's www.burnsvillemn.gov. And there's in the meeting folder, there's a lot of great information there. As usual, tonight's meeting will also be viewing on BCTV and on the website. If you're unable to participate this evening and would like to submit public testimony, I encourage just emailing city staff or sending a letter to City Hall. You may participate in the meeting if you're on Zoom by typing in meeting ID 971-2395-5042. Once you're logged on, tell the moderator which issue you'd like to speak to, and they will help you speak to that issue when the time comes. You can also join the meeting by calling in at 651-372-8299. Again, you would need the meeting ID, which is 971-2395-5046. If you didn't grab a pencil fast enough, that's okay. You can find all this information and more on the city website, burnsville.org. burnsvillemn.org. Gov, excuse me. If you do join us by phone, your phone will be muted until it is time to speak. You would hit *6. I will give you more information when we get to that point on the meeting. With that, I am going to go to the agenda. Any changes to the agenda as you had seen? Commissioners? Seeing none. Staff?
No changes.
Great, and I look for a motion for the agenda. Commissioner Wad?
I move that we approve the agenda.
Motion made by Commissioner Wad. Do I have a second? Commissioner Wallace?
I'll second the motion.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Wallace. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that passes. In your packets, you should have seen the minutes from our last meeting, which was about a month ago since we missed this last one. We had a canceled meeting in there. Any changes to those minutes that you've seen, Commissioners? Any changes, staff?
No changes from staff.
No changes. All right, with that, I'd look for a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Timmerman. Do I have a second? Commissioner.
Second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Wad. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And that will move us to our third option on today's agenda, and that is a public hearing for the application of River Hills United Methodist Church for a conditional use permit amendment to construct a new trash enclosure facility made of chain link fence with slats located within the parking lot at 11100 River Hills Drive. Here to speak on this issue is one of our city planners, Deb Garros. Ms. Garros, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Commissioners, and we have our representatives for both applications are here this evening. This first one is a conditional use permit amendment, very straightforward application. River Hills Church did receive a number of approvals over the years. It's been constructed prior to the city becoming incorporated in '64. What they're specifically asking tonight is a conditional use permit amendment for two things. One is to amend their most recent, the 1988 conditional use permit, and that's to remove a condition regarding trash enclosures. At that point in time, and actually up until the past couple of years, trash enclosures always needed to be constructed of materials similar to the principal building on the site, and have a roof and also an opaque gate structure, and that is no longer the case in most of our districts. So what they are requesting to do, instead of building on to that existing structure that they have, they want to use chain link fence with slats, and that would be screened on three sides, and this would be located right next to their existing trash enclosure on the site. So conditional use permit amendment would allow that. And then the second one is for special purpose fencing. The chain link fence with slats typically is not a use that's permitted in residential districts, and the church is zoned R1, single family. However, there is a provision that allows, again, by review by conditional use permit, a look to special purpose fences, and that would be the chain link fence with slats that's proposed. The church has been existing on site. They did some renovations that date back to like 2011 was the last major construction. It is zoned single family. There is parkland to the south, which is pretty much just natural open space by a pond. And then it butts single family homes on the southeast. And then across the street, there is additional parking for the church, and you have the Rivers senior care facility there. And the site fronts on Highway 13 and River Hills Drive. Went over just quickly what the history was. This was included in your background. Again, the CUP amendment, one of them is to the 1988 conditional use permit. And then the slide, this is a picture of the existing trash enclosure. And then on the screen, this is, it's got a lot of information on it, but this is the site plan, looking straight down. And what they're proposing is the existing structure is in green, approximately this area, and then just out in the parking lot is where they're proposing the new facility. And this gets you a little bit easier to read, but basically, again, the existing structure, and then they want to utilize 2 existing parking stalls, and then use this, put in a new pad, and then the screening would be on the 3 sides. The side that's open faces the park and no other structures. They are proposing to have a 6-foot, 10-inch chain link fence, and the slats that were shown, putting in a new pad, and this would be a very simple type of improvement, but they're in need of additional facilities, so that is why they are here for the request. The site does already exceed the number of parking stalls required for churches by the zoning ordinance. There are 202 existing parking stalls. The required parking is 158, so losing a couple of stalls for this is not going to be an issue. And likewise, there'll be no change in impervious surface because hard surface to hard surface, so no issues there. The specific condition to be removed is this one that's listed, construction of a facility to handle trash using materials similar to that on the building, which is the church. So they're looking to strike that. And then the special purpose fence, again, is the fence with slats in the R1 zoning district. And as far as conditional use permits, I'm not going to read or go through all of these, but the ordinance does have criteria that we look at for conditional use permits. Primarily, you're looking at, does the proposal have any negative, or do you anticipate negative impacts to adjacent properties, to the public, to the road system, et cetera? And we do not anticipate any issues with regard to this application. With that, the recommendation from staff is to approve the project, subject just to one condition, and that's that previously approved CUPs shall remain in full force and effect, with the exception of this proposal where we would delete that 1988 condition and move on from there. So with that, I can stand for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Garros. Any questions, commissioners? Commissioner Watt?
Thank you. Great presentation. I'm just curious, 6'10" seems like a very specific fence height. Do you know why it's 6'10" and not 7 feet or not 6'8"?
I do not know the
Okay.
specifics. We do have the applicant here.
I believe you have an ordinance, that if we go 7 feet or higher, it requires different structures. And we're looking to minimize our impact. So we tried to keep it as simple as possible without any additional requirements for inspections of fences that go 7 feet or higher. So we're cutting it by 2 inches.
Sure. Sir, can you step up to the podium?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries. No worries. And I just need your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Jeff Gustafson. I'm the chair of the trustees at River Hills United Methodist Church. I live at 3804 Riverton Avenue in Eagan.
Okay. Thank you, thank you. Any other questions, commissioners, with the applicant or with Ms. Garros or other city staff? Okay. Is there any reason, my question would be, is there a reason why you're not putting it next to the existing building?
Well, again, we thought that we'd not impact any of our existing green space, and by taking concrete out and putting it over the asphalt and using a couple spaces in the parking lot, it would also make it easier for the garbage trucks to come around to the side and get the dumpsters out, rather than having to put a new pathway from the green area into the parking lot or have them, run further in. So we thought we'd try to save as much green space as we can.
That's great. It's funny, you mentioned the garbage, because we don't ever think about them when we come up with these ordinances sometimes, and to make it easier for them, that was very nice of you.
Okay.
I'm sure they appreciate that. Anything else you'd like to say about your church or anything along those lines?
No,
Okay.
we've been happy working with Deb, and she covered it amazingly well, so.
Great. Well, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you for
thank
joining
you.
us today as well. All right, having no questions for the commissioners, I will open up the public hearing. This is a public hearing. Public hearing is open at 6:41. Anyone that would like to speak on this issue can alert the commentator if they're online via Zoom, or if they're on the phone, they can dial *6 and tell the moderator they'd like to speak to this issue. And if you are here in person and would like to speak to this issue, feel free to walk up to the lectern and okay, it doesn't look like anybody's on Zoom, and so at 6:42, I will close the public hearing. And I'm going to turn back over to the commissioners. Commissioners, any discussion on this issue? Commissioner Timmerman.
Just one question for Ms. Garros, and then I'll make a motion to approve. The reason this is in front of the planning commission is because this is in a residential district. Would this come before the planning commission in any other district?
For churches in the single-family district, schools, those types of facilities are all conditional uses in single-family, so they would be before you. This one is here for the special purpose fence, and then because there's that specific condition that requires the structure to be made out of the brick materials, we want to remove that so that doesn't cause them issues in the future.
I think you probably know what I'm getting at. This is a pretty unique situation that this project would come in front of the planning commission for a project this size and.
Yes, yes, exactly. It's a very, I guess, minimum type investment in terms of the types of projects that you see, but because of the wording of the original CUP, we don't have the ability to administratively
Right.
allow that.
Makes sense. All right, I make a motion to approve.
Motion has been put by Commissioner Timmerman. Any seconds? Commissioner Wallace.
I will second that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Wallace. A motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No one opposes. This will go on the consent agenda for City Council on Tuesday, May 17th at 5:30 in these very chambers. Thank you so much for joining us and helping us out tonight.
Thank you.
And we move on to the next item on our agenda. And that is agenda number 4, Michaels Weber for variances to allow a 45 versus 50-foot front line setback for a new home. Also to allow a flat roof versus pitch roof over the part of the new home at 15650 Judicial Road in Burnsville. To speak on this again is Ms. Garros. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Commissioners. The subject site is in southwest Burnsville. It is zoned R1A, which is our single-family rural residential. So there are not city sewer, water, or storm sewer facilities in this part of the city. Folks have their own well and septic system. And then what the subject site actually was platted in 1912 and included a much larger area, and then through the years, parcels have been sold off, if you will. So we have the subject site, and then the existing house was constructed in 1922. So definitely developed prior to any ordinances that have gone into effect related to the city. So this is the certificate of survey, and primarily the rationale for the variances really are related to the site topography and then the applicant's desire to want to save existing mature trees that are on the property. But the site basically has a hill in the center point in between the house here and the detached garage. There's about 30 feet of topographic difference between the high point on the top of the hill and then over where the driveway comes in, that would be the lowest point. The proposal is to take down the existing structure. They'd like to maintain that same setback, which is 45 feet as opposed to 50 feet. And in addition to that, they're proposing then to construct a new 1,920 square foot home. It's basically one level with basement, and then there'll be a tuck-under two-car garage, similar to what's there today. So this is a view looking at the site from the southeast corner, and you can see, as the property slopes back up in the existing house. And here, kind of behind this tree, you can see the top of the hill is back through here. And this gives you an idea. There have the existing driveway, existing gravel driveway come in, and then this is the existing tuck-under garage. And that's where they want to maintain the 45-foot setback. And then this, again, just gives you I guess I went back. Sorry about that. The site plan that's proposed, what I would like you to take a look at is the area that's outlined in red is where the existing home sits. And then they are proposing, again, to demo everything and construct a new single-family home, still to come in at the same location and still to have the tuck-under garage at this location here. And these show some of the existing trees. As you noted on the photographs before, it is wooded out there, so they'd like to stay in that same building area of the existing home so they can save some of the mature oak trees out there, but also they don't want to cut further back into this hillside here. There's already a need for retaining walls, for the property, and they just do not want to extend that any further to the west. And this is a larger plan, and here the existing setback is 45 feet, and that's the front part of the home, just in this location, would meet that 45-foot setback. There are retaining walls that are proposed approximately this location and on the rear of the structure. And then there's an existing retaining wall in this location. This is the house, basically what you would be looking at from the street side, if you will. They do have a platform type deck on the north side. This does encroach a little bit closer, about I think 3 to 5 feet closer than the 45-foot setback, but because it's less than 30 inches above grade at all locations, it's also a detached structure. It is not subject to those setback requirements. And then basically the home is a very modern design. I think it's something that's going to look very nice on the property. They do have part of the structure has got a shed roof in this location, and then part of the structure over here, about half, has a flat roof. The ordinance still has that condition for single-family districts that you have to have a pitch roof instead of flat roof. So that's the other variance that we're looking at. Then this would be the north elevation, looking at the larger garage, which would be very nice for the applicant. Here you can also see some of the, there's a retaining wall in this location. There's a retaining wall in the back. This is going to be a new rock type retaining wall. And then you also have that here. This would be looking at the back of the house. Cedar siding is proposed. You get a better look here of the flat roof and the shed roof. And then this is south elevation, basically looking out towards where the pictures were taken from. The site itself, as I said, basically one floor with a basement. And they have ability to place two cars in this garage. I don't know that you have the ability to do that in your existing garage. Or you'll be
There's a room
pretty
down.
small cars.
I'm Mike Swaber, I live at 15650. They converted that into a bedroom somewhere along the way. It's a bedroom that gets water this time of year.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then in terms of practical difficulties, the things that we look at for variances, we cite topography, and that we do have those conditions of that hill right there, drainage, et cetera. There is that 30-foot change in elevation, and they want to keep existing mature trees. That's something that the city has looked as a positive for granting variances. Maintain the site drainage. Also, as I said earlier, the site was platted, everything was built, decades and decades ago. So they're really not going to be doing much in terms of additional excavations and those types of things, keeping the development area pretty much the same as it is. In terms of the architectural criteria, we have looked with the Planning Commission at the zoning ordinance, which is in the process of being updated, and talked about removing that the pitched roof requirement, and you have granted other variances for this as well. We believe that the request is reasonable and meets the spirit and intent of the ordinance. The variance guideline is attached, and there are 13 positives, 1 negative, and 5 not applicable out of 19 factors. So again, in looking at that, that is something that goes toward meeting the practical difficulties. With that, staff is recommending approval of the 45-foot front yard setback and flat roof design, subject to one condition, and that would be a standard condition in the district, that the driveway does need to be approved with some type of a hard surface. And with that, I can stand for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Garros. Commissioners, any questions for city staff? Commissioner Timmerman?
Does the hard surface driveway, Ms. Girls, have to go all the way back to the detached garage?
What we usually would do is would be required to the house, to that first garage. But then going back, we do not have a requirement for sheds or detached buildings to have a hard surface driveway, especially where one is already existing.
My preference would not to have it hard. The back is more of a workshop.
I think you lose some of the, just the feel
Yeah,
of that area if you,
I would rather not have hard surface
Understood.
back there. In fact, now on the plot, it shows like there's a driveway back there, but it's grass, actually.
yeah, okay.
They surveyed in the winter, so it looked like I do park up there in January, but
Makes sense. Any other questions, commissioners, for staff or the applicant? I think it's a beautiful design, by the way. I think it looks great, and
yeah.
It's got some nice
I
views.
did a real nice job with it.
Yeah.
He saved me from myself, I think.
right. All right, well, having no other questions by the commissioners, this is a public hearing, and at 6:53, I am opening up the public hearing. If you are online via Zoom, you can tell the moderator you'd like to speak to this issue. If you're on the phone, dial *6. Tell the moderator you'd like to speak to this issue. And I'm assuming, nope, nobody's on Zoom. So at 5:54, I will close said public hearing, and I will open it up to the commissioners for any kind of recommendations, thoughts. Commissioner Watt?
I just want to kind of reiterate the comment that this is really a cool house, and
Oh,
I'm very,
thank you.
very supportive of it, and yeah, wish you a lot of success with, I don't know if this is appropriate for the meeting, but what's your timeline? If this,
I would like to start as soon as possible. Obviously, I've got contractors
Yeah.
waiting in the wings. I'm gonna general it myself.
okay,
So I'd like to start really as soon as I get approval.
okay, super, well,
If possible, like I say, the contractors, they don't wait for me, so,
They're contractors, right?
yeah.
Anybody else? Commissioner Wallace?
I just want to say a great presentation, Ms. Garros, and it's Thank you, sir, for, coming up with this, and as my fellow planning commissioner said, awesome plan. And Ms. Garros answered the one question I had about the deck encroaching more, and since that's a self-standing structure, I have no further questions and definitely support this as well.
Yeah, I completely think this makes sense to go forward with. I'm looking for a motion. Commissioner Wad?
I'll make the motion.
Commissioner Wad makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Timmerman. Commissioner Wallace, you're a little too slow. All in favor?
I was gonna read the motion.
Oh, yeah, I suppose you would have to, you made a motion. You should make, I guess, we're moving too fast.
Stealing my thunder.
Right?
So I move that we recommend to the city council approval of the various application to allow a 45-foot front yard setback and flat roof design, subject to the one condition that the driveway must be improved with hard surface up to the house, meeting the requirements of the ordinance.
A motion has been made.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Timmerman. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous. It will be on the consent agenda on Tuesday, May 17th. It'll be 5:30 here in these chambers. Hopefully that just smoothly flies by. And Mr. Zweber, welcome to Burnsville.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Calls for the
Thank you,
housewarming.
Yeah.
About a year from now.
And with that, we're going to move to number 5 on our agenda, and that is a update on our Center Village. And presenting is our Assistant Community Development Director, Regina Dean. Ms. Dean, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Let's see here, hang on. Thank you, Chair, members of the Planning Commission. Just a quick update for you. We want to get into the routine of providing quarterly updates to the Commission, and it's certainly important information for our members of the public to engage and follow what's going on. A lot's happening behind the scenes, not very visible. We don't have the activity that we do anticipate quite yet, but it's on the horizon. So with that, just a quick update for you tonight. The I-35W MnDOT request for proposal was recently released. So looking back at all the work that we've done, we did our rezoning, our Center Village vision update, our traffic study, our AUAR. Kind of one of the next steps was to create those next steps of implementation. And we've been working with MnDOT and Dakota County to realize a off-ramp off of I-35W into the mall property itself, connecting with Buck Hill, and then creating a roundabout that will connect to future roadways and future sidewalk connections within the mall property itself. We also obtained Aldrich Road right-of-way north of the Sears and south of the Sears building from a previous replat of the Burnsville Center Mall. So with that, the request for proposal it's more of an engineering pre-design work that will be underway. And once the consultant is selected, they will be charged with developing a plan at 30% design, so that the next step would be find that funding, find our public-private partners, and move on to those next steps of actual construction. The RFP is expected to, consultant will be selected soon, and then in 2023, we expect the actual work that the consultant is doing to be completed. So things are moving, again, a lot behind the scenes. Projects and development that we've seen, Old Navy relocated from in the Burnsville Center itself to Burnsville Marketplace next to Sierra Trading and TJ Maxx Home Goods. That site is really exciting to see that full. I think when I started at Burnsville about 6 years ago, there were a lot of vacancies or big boxes that were kind of turning over and consolidating, and it's great to see that property start to fill up and a lot more activity. But it does create certainly a vacancy within the Burnsville Center, and that's that's a negative, so we've got our positive and our negative there. Still within the center village, so we do want to still celebrate this business as well. Raising Cane's is now open. I did drive by today. There were customers, but it wasn't causing any type of traffic issue. It was about 1:30, so kind of tail end of lunch, but things seem to be moving well, and that was nice to not encounter any issues. We certainly want them to be busy, but not to the point where they're overflowing into traffic.
Absolutely.
No more police escorts or traffic direction?
I haven't heard anything, so hopefully that stays good, and I think with a number of Raising Cane's opening throughout the metro, that probably takes the pressure off of other locations. We were recently notified of a building permit application. Alta Beauty is expected to do a significant remodel, so that's great. They're reinvesting in Burnsville. And then Panda Express is proposed. That is on the Burnsville Center property, one of those lots that was carved off. Many of you may know of the garden center or the rug temporary sales that are out on site. It's that general location is where it's proposed. It is in development review application stage, so we anticipate if that continues to move forward that you will receive a plan unit development amendment and possibly some other requests before you in the near future. And then former Fire Station 1 was recently demolished, and in the Center Village vision we do show that as parkland. I don't have formal direction on what the next steps for that site may be, but it may be right now a kind of a blank slate. More to come on that. And then the Gordman space, which does include, I probably should have put the plat, and so you can see how all these parcels are divided, but one of the parcels that was created during the plat was a carve off of the Dick's space with the restaurants that are in front, as well as the Gordman space. It's about 100,000 square feet of space. And specifically the Gordman space, we anticipate that will turn into an Asian grocery store. It will be branded as, I believe, Pacific Square. The name may change, over time, but we don't have any formal building permit applications at this time or requests that would be before you. But we are actively talking with the new property owner and learning about what their plans are and what their vision is for that space. So definitely more to come. As you can see, there's a couple of banners on the walls of the property indicating that there is a plan that something should be coming soon. So we're excited about that. And then we just continue to communicate the Center Village vision. We did just a quick redesign of our city webpage to put those high-level documents that we've worked on towards implementation. It's a great resource for the developers that we receive inquiries from. We do have a lot of inquiries. There are a lot of touch points. I really hope to, at our next quarterly meeting, have more information to share as those formal applications come before us. But we continue to share the message and continue to update where we can about what's going on. With that, I don't have any other updates, but if you have any questions, I'm here.
Any questions, commissioners, for Ms. Dean? I was looking at that freeway off-ramp, and to me, it looks like it would be great relief to Highway 42 to have that off-ramp, be able to use the South Cross. It's almost like encompassing with Burnsville Parkway and Highway 5 around the mall with South Cross along the south. And one of the problems is that we didn't have access to South Cross, so 42 would get really backed up. So that's going to be a great traffic saver. And I hope that people can realize that, especially when rush hour traffic's coming through there and that exit gets backed up. So I think that is an awesome win, a great deal for both the city staff for being able to get that going, and I think that's great. And I love to see that it's moving. This is great news, and we're getting things going. Especially, I believe in the background, you talked a little bit about apartment complexes and things that were interested in the area.
Mhm. We do. We do have a number of developers that I feel like every other day I'm fielding a question, and you know, high interest and reputable developers that you see throughout the Twin Cities have some really high interest. And so, again, it's just I think a matter of time before the first one comes before us in an actual formal submittal. And it is exciting to see all the work that the Planning Commission has done, the Economic Development Commission, our council, our staff, our project partners, you know, the county and the state, and everybody is kind of has gotten behind this, and it's really neat to see it, you know, starting to come together. Again, a lot of it's not flashy, a lot of it's it seems technical or kind of behind the scenes, but again, just a matter of time where it's more out there.
The seeds
Visual.
are being planted.
Exactly.
Buildings will grow.
Yes, I love that analogy.
There we go. Commissioner Awad.
I'm sorry if I missed it. What's the timeline for the completion of the roundabout? Or
So-
construction of the roundabout?
That would be yet to come, definitely
Okay.
after 2023. We would get, after that RFP and consultant does their work, of course, we will involve various stakeholders, property owners. But it would be nice if it were kind of in conjunction with the Seritage parcel. And again, more to come on timing, but ideally, things would happen around the same time.
Okay, so the timing for 2023, that's for the design work and so that the construction project can happen after that?
Right.
Got it, okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Timmerman.
Great presentation. Always love to hear the updates. You've done a phenomenal job, and I think we are so lucky to have you in this role. I'm going to help with your sales pitch. Tell us about the developers and the tax increment financing that may be available to them in coming to our city and developing in this area.
So this area, the Burnsville Center property itself, is eligible to be a TIF district. We have not activated that yet, because once we do activate it, we have a short window of time where we could capture that value and use it towards improvements within the area. So we're being kind of cautious on that timeline of when we start that process. But it could pay for things like the roads, for parking structures on site, and could assist with development depending on what that development is. So it is an exciting time. We do have tools that we can use to help our developers and to help the property owners help facilitate development.
I think that's one of the cool things the council has done over the last couple of years, is really pushed that as the legislative priority and worked with the local legislators to get that to happen. So I think that will bring in some of those quality building opportunities that you were talking about. You mentioned that the new mall owner has a vision for the Gordman's property. Has the new mall owner shared in our vision for this space, and are they having conversations with the city about a vision beyond the individual properties that they're selling, or about the individual spaces? Because I think that the city has invested a lot of resources already into this, and it would be great to have a partner in this, and I think that's an update that I would be interested in.
So the entity that obtained the Gordman space and the the Dick's space, Noodles, Panera, that box, that's a different property owner, so it's different from Cohan. It's, I believe it's Pacific Retail, I could be wrong, but they do have a vision. I don't have anything formally submitted. They want to activate the space. They want to bring people.
We're talking Cohan now.
The Pacific.
Right, and it looks like they're doing that with some of the work they're doing. I guess my question is about the company who bought the remaining part of the mall at auction.
We've been told that they would like to see the space reactivated. They are concentrating on leasing out space within the Burnsville Center itself, and then also we were told that they had hoped to, after the sales of the properties that they had carved off, to reinvest in the mall itself. So they don't have a specific vision that they've put together themselves that have been shared with the city, but we continue to have conversations with them, and but at this time I don't have anything specific from them.
There's just so much excitement about this area. I'm excited to feel that excitement from them and hear what their ideas are for this space too.
Absolutely. Any other commissioners, any other questions from Ms. Dean or any of the city staff? All right, well, thank you, Ms. Dean, for the update. We really appreciate that. With that, I'm going to turn to Ms. Garros. Any updates for the commission?
Just a couple of quick updates for you. Not in the Center Village area, but next to that cobblestone where we had the grocery PUD come in. I still don't know when the grocery is going to be named or opened, but it is under construction. But we did receive the building permit in to renovate the rest of the exterior of the mall. They had thought, maybe within 5 years, and so this is, within a year.
Yeah.
So that is nice to see that coming in. Also, we saw something happen today. If you were to drive by Mr. B's, the canopy on the gas station, half of it blew over today, so.
Jeez.
Yeah, so
Everybody okay? No?
I don't think there was any,
Okay.
yeah, just had seen it on, come in, and people are wondering when things are gonna happen there, as are we. But things are starting,
Really, yeah.
And then we also just received word this week from Minnesota Valley Transit Authority, MVTA. They are starting to do a study for bus rapid transit on County Road 42. So we'll be participating in that, and that process should start here within the next couple months. So that is also exciting, just to see, the various entities and agencies coming together and doing these types of things. And then with that, I don't know if do you want to talk about our change, our organizational change?
So I'm not sure if the Planning Commission heard, but our Community Development Director, Jenny Faulkner, retired. Her last day was Friday. At this time, BJ Jungman, our fire chief, is overseeing our building department, code, rental licensing, planning and economic development department, and I guess more to come.
I want to reiterate, I've really enjoyed working with you, Regina. You do a fantastic job.
She is a wonderful person, and so
Thank
is.
We do have a great team in
Yeah.
community development, our
Absolutely.
planners, economic development specialist, Kevin, just community development in general. We work very well together, and really have the community in our best interest.
And Jenny
Take care.
Faulkner was a great person to work with. I
Absolutely.
had many encounters with her. She's just a welcoming person to the community, and sad to see her go, but happy for her to be retired. Can't beat
Yes.
that,
Yep,
right?
I know.
Exactly.
Can't, exactly.
So with
All
that,
right.
that's all I have.
That's all. Any other updates? Commissioner Wad?
No update, but I was gonna make a motion.
Oh, what
This is the
would your?
time to make a
Yeah,
motion.
What would be your motion?
I
It's gonna be
move,
45 minutes if you don't hurry.
I move that we adjourn.
Motion made by Commissioner Wad. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Wallace. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No one opposes. That is our show. Have a great night. Thanks for joining us.